It's great to have you here today. Leading vibrancy coach. It's great to have you here today.
Yes. Thank you. I'm so happy to be here.
Yes. So, vibrancy coaching, what is that? Leading vibrancy coaching and limitless living activator.
Yes.
What is that?
That is what I do. So I am the founder of the Business of You, and I am the one-on-one coach, the go-to coach for supporting people in getting really in alignment and
Mm,
attuned to their natural rhythm so
mm,
that they can begin to claim more of their sovereignty and fulfillment in their life, their body, and their business. So I
mm,
really help people tune in and begin to navigate their external reality by getting intuitively connected to themselves, their
mm,
gifts, and beginning to harness their sovereignty in all aspects of their life, their body, and their business so that they are living in alignment with fulfillment, vibrancy, and feeling really energized and purposeful in what they are proactively moving towards in their vision.
mm. What is vibrancy?
Vibrancy is energy.
Mm,
Vibrancy is about being lit up from the inside out
mm,
and moving from a place of inspiration rather than motivation.
mm. Okay. What's the difference?
So, the difference between inspiration and motivation
Mm,
is when you are inspired, you're intuitively connected to that authentic energy and your purpose.
mm,
When you are moving from the lens of motivation, it's
mm,
almost like you're reaching. There's
mm,
a difference between language that creates reality. And I'm a
mm,
firm believer in getting in alignment and attuned with your natural inspiration hub, that intuitive compass, as I like to call it,
mm,
versus leading from the eyes of what you desire only. And that being coming from more of that pusher or that forcing energy to try to reach or to chase or to grab. There's a different energetic belief system and a different energetic vibrational pattern that you have when you're creating your reality, going from where you are to where you want to be. So
mm.
I like to invite people into the vibrant living lifestyle model that I've created, to get anchored in their inspiration so that they can create more happiness, joy, freedom, and really begin to claim and harness their true, authentic power in their life, their body, and their business.
Hmm. You come from a place of deep knowledge, and experience. Where's all of that coming from? What's the story behind that?
I've had a long story in a great
Mhm.
way.
Great.
um, my I started out as a young girl wanting to be a professional soccer player, and
Hmm.
at the age of 9, I declared that I wanted to live and embody that dream.
Hmm.
And so I went after it and I chased it, and I ended up becoming an ex semi pro soccer player. I played over in Europe, and I remember standing. I was playing with the first team. I had already made the reserves team, and I was standing literally at the door to my dream.
Hmm. Hmm.
And I got to that point where I was there and I went, oh my God, is this all there is?
Hmm.
And that was ultimate failure,
Hmm.
because I had had this vision of something that I really wanted. But when I got there and I realized what it was, I was no longer connected to that vision and that dream.
Hmm.
And so for me, it was ultimate failure in a way that then activated me to really get really aligned and to create clarity around what true confidence looks like without a mask, and to really begin to anchor into what authentically feels in
Hmm.
alignment versus what it is I desire from the ideas or the notions of what maybe other people have projected onto
Hmm.
me. And so for me, I went on this journey of really taking this all encompassing approach to support myself in really learning how to be in tune and connected with my body, and really in alignment with what feels good and what nourishes me from the inside out, and what feels in alignment and purposeful for me to step into. And
Mm,
over that journey, the vibrant living lifestyle model came to fruition, and it is really the blueprint model,
mm,
my version of it after Maslow's scale, to create, self-actualization.
mm,
And my version of really getting to that pinnacle point is educating. For me, it was educating myself, but now I educate others on how to integrate into
mm,
themselves
mm,
versus to seek outside of themselves to
mm,
fill themselves up. And
mm,
so I help people really redirect their psychology, their belief systems, and really bring in and anchor more of an intuitive as well as practical and logical strategies to support them in creating that alignment for
mm,
themselves, so that they're really nourishing their bodies as they create their business or vision, and so that they're creating fulfillment in their lives and not putting themselves on the back burner or getting totally overwhelmed with stress and anxiety and not knowing what to do. And so I really help people dissolve those blocks and get out of that feeling of being clogged up with a bunch of junk that isn't yours and get out of their own way,
mm,
because that's ultimately what I had to do for myself.
mm,
And no one had the strategy, no one had the plan, no one had the map to teach me.
mm,
I had to learn through trial and error how to get there on my own. Because one of my biggest challenges for myself as someone who is an ambitious woman, I was
mm,
terrified of vulnerability.
mm,
And when you're terrified of vulnerability, you do not go and ask for help willingly. And you wear a lot of masks.
mm,
And after doing that for so long, you know, and learning that, becoming to learn that my confidence that I built up until that point to being a semi pro athlete and being all these things that people thought I was or projected onto me, those were all labels, and those were all titles, and those were all attachments. And as soon
mm,
as those were gone, it was like, oh my God, identity crisis. Who am I?
mm,
And so this is really, for me, this was really about developing a foundation that was built on stone, not sand, and
mm,
being able to layer that connection with body, mind, spirit, and purpose and business to really build a solid foundation from the inside out versus
mm.
from the outside in.
So, soccer player. What
Yeah,
what age were you?
I was 19 at the time, so it's
Yes.
been a lot of years since then.
So 19. There you were standing and going. You were in Europe.
I was in Europe. Yeah, I had played down
Oh.
in Arizona. I had a full scholarship down in the States, and then I left halfway through that because I had the opportunity to go try out in Europe. So I did.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there you were in Europe. I'm thinking, okay, here I am now, play internationally, but is this it?
Yeah.
You know,
And for me, it wasn't it.
for you, it wasn't it. For somebody else, that might have been it. What led you
For
to
someone
soccer?
else, it kind of. But I think what I looked at, and as a female, you have to look at the times. And even
Hmm.
to this day, you know, as a male professional athlete, you are paid a lot more. You can actually create a life beyond your wildest dreams.
Hmm.
For women at that time and that day and age, that was a very limited cap.
Hmm.
And for those who were playing on the first team, I had asked them, like, how much are you making? And what's your lifestyle like? And they were like, honey, we got full-time job, like, outside of this. And so for me, I kind of looked at that like, well, this isn't going to be, you know give me all of the desires that I would really love to fulfill. And like, what's the sustainability of this?
Hmm.
And I think for myself too, there was this intuitive nudge,
Hmm.
um, that that kind of was taking place at that time. And
Mm.
I think that that's one of my biggest messages that I want to share with anyone listening today, is to really begin to listen to your inner gut instincts, because
Mm.
they're never wrong,
Mm.
you know.
Mm.
And we challenge them so often with justification and excuses, and we beat around the bush.
Mm.
But intuition is never wrong. It's just,
Mm.
it's always on point. It's just, the question becomes, do you have the strength to
Mm.
listen
Listen.
and to lean in?
Mm.
Yeah.
Like with motivation and inspiration, intuition and the inner noise, how do you separate that? It could be one and the same sometimes.
I totally feel you on that,
Mm.
because that was something that I had to move through deeply.
Mm.
A big piece of my journey was learning how to access my authentic voice and listen to that intuitive voice,
Mm.
rather than the inner critic, or the anxiety, or the stress, or the overwhelm, or the I am not enough
Mm.
voice that would show up.
Mm.
And there's some tools and techniques that I acquired over my journey that I now share in the Vibrant Living Lifestyle Model, that support people in really being able to actually dissolve anxiety and stress completely
Mm.
without medication.
Mhm.
Because for me, I had gone through identity crisis
Mm.
after, walking away from
From that,
soccer.
yeah.
Yeah. And, as soon as you get to that point where you go, oh my God, like, I'm no longer this identity that I've built myself out to be.
Mm.
And you're no longer able to attach yourself to anything. That's when you get to really learn who you are. And I recognize that, but at the same time, it was still really struggling. As a 19-year-old, I was dealing with a lot. I was, a young woman,
Mm.
and I had a lot to figure out. And
Yeah.
listening to that inner voice wasn't always easy, but
Mm.
I learned how to discriminate between the noise of what were programs and
Mm.
old belief systems,
Mhm.
and what were just patterns of neurological firing taking place,
Mm.
and that authentic voice that leads from the place of inspiration, love, appreciation, and excitement for the joy of life.
Mm.
And at first, you feel like it's kind of, that monkey mind is taking over, and you can't really grasp what's the right direction for you.
Mm.
And what I would invite anyone to do who is dealing with a lot of stress, anxiety, overwhelm, or just doesn't know how to take the next steps forward, I would say you need to slow down.
Mm.
Because ambitious, powerful men and women who have big visions and big goals and ambitions and dreams, they are usually, have a lot of energy, and
Mm.
they're very driven, that they are a force. But you got to learn how to tame that inner beast to some extent, and know how to get your kind of like that ego, or kind of those programs on a leash
Mm.
first, so they're not operating or in the driver's seat. And then you got to learn how to cut them loose and
Mhm.
get them out of your life.
Mm.
And that's kind of the process that I really support people with, in some of the programs that I offer, where I help people to really dissolve the anxiety, the stress, so
Okay.
that they can get clear, so that they can
Mm.
get aligned.
Mm.
Because one of the key elements of vibrant living is you're aligned with flow. Do
Mm.
you know what I'm talking about when I
Of
talk
course.
about flow?
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's, for me, what I've come to discover is that there's this very powerful rhythm on a
Mm.
universal wavelength.
Mm.
And when you begin to align with your own innate rhythm, and you
Mm.
get connected to that intuitive force,
Mm.
that's when flow begins to open up, and you can actually almost step through a new door to reality. That's when you begin to experience more synchronicities in your life. That's when the art of being a
Mm,
human being and being an active creator of your life versus a survivor of your circumstances starts to happen at lightning speed.
yeah.
Because when you begin to harness your own intuitive power
Mm,
and align with your natural rhythm and no longer are leading your life from the programs of stress or survival, you begin to ignite your inspiration. You begin to align with that more deeply seated, authentic version of you
mm,
who's no longer terrified of uncertainty
mm,
or worried to fail.
mm,
You're just willing to do or to take the next steps with a level of inner trust
mhm,
and conviction, and with a level of faith and trust that the universe will conspire to your own command and will
mm,
by you simply being devoted to that inner calling
mm,
that is leading you towards that highest vision that you carry in your mind and heart.
mm. So what were some mistakes you made, in your journey from that point from 19 to, to finding yourself and becoming this person you are today? What were some mistakes you made?
Oh man. There's some great mistakes. I've got some spectacular failures on my list for
Mm,
sure. But as a woman, and speaking to any female entrepreneurs who are listening, or CEOs right now, um, really, really giving yourself that complete conviction and trust with your gut instincts, that I would say is the number one key to being able to get anywhere that you want.
mm,
Because for myself, it took me quite some time to really lean in
mm.
and trust that, the universe has my back, as,
Back
a
to back.
Gabby Bernstein
Mm,
would say,
mm,
and to really trust myself and the new capabilities and the new discovering of new gifts that I was unfolding.
mm,
Because in my own experience, I allowed other people's opinions a lot of the time to affect or to infiltrate the
mm,
trust that I had and the conviction that I had myself.
mm,
And I've had multiple occasions where it was either, a really bad mentorship,
mm,
where it was like that person really wasn't for me. They
mm,
had their own secret agenda in mind,
mm,
and they weren't really for me.
mm,
And I had to get really clear that, oh my God, this person's actually not for my vision.
mm,
They're for their own version of that
mm,
vision in their own world.
mm,
And so there's going to be people that come into your life who are going to challenge you, and the lessons are going to be there to, you know, in my case, I failed in order
mm,
to learn forward, um, to really stand in my power and not have other people pull and sway me off of my own life track. And I think that anyone who is a visionary or an entrepreneur, you will have that time and time again. And it's about you being able to really anchor into yourself and really have that deep connection with your authentic self that's going to help you to make clear, decisive decisions that are going to support you in not being pulled and swayed off your vision and your life path. Because other people, they will try,
mm.
and it doesn't make them bad people,
Yeah.
but you have to you have to take responsibility for the choices that you make. And so those were some of my biggest mistakes, was allowing other people to, infiltrate my mind, or for me to be really hesitating
Mm,
on my personal next steps. Even if I knew what it really was, it was like
mm,
almost sometimes someone else's authority or opinion would
mm,
kind of get stuck in my mind, and it would lead to a level of hesitation, or I wouldn't take that next step until, a certain amount of time had gone by, and
mm,
that kind of held me back a lot. And that was me holding myself back because I was allowing that person to affect me that way. And
mm,
so getting really laser lucid clear on the people who are for you, the
mm,
people who are not for you, and doing really like a weekly inventory of that is, I think, really powerful for any entrepreneur or CEO, um, on the way to creating the vision that they have in their mind.
yeah. So make a list. Who is for me? So on this side, for me, for me.
Yeah,
I'm like, oof, this list, you gotta go.
who's for me, who's
Mm,
against, like it's not even, people aren't even against you. I think you have to know what is so in alignment
yes.
with your vision and energy. I can't say this enough. People spend so much of their energy
Mm,
giving to those who do not return it.
time.
It's not like a take. It's more, you have to learn the giving and receiving end of your own energy, not things,
Mm,
energy.
mm,
And when you get really um, in alignment with yourself, you
yes.
know how to tailor your energy to those who you are who's reciprocating in energy, and who also fills you up and you fill them up, and it's this
Mm,
beautiful giving and receiving exchange. And you got
mm,
to know the ones who drain the crap out of you
mm,
and cut them loose if that's the case. Have a 3-month rule.
mm,
I have a 3-month rule. If someone is just draining my energy, it's not,
mm,
I don't label them, I don't judge them. I just see it for what it is.
mm,
And I then reframe how I'm going to show up in that friendship or that relationship or that mentorship, um, given where they're at.
mm,
Because so often people are just being who they are in the world and showing up in the best way they can,
mm,
and sometimes that doesn't reciprocate, and that doesn't always feel good. And I'm not saying that you have to be, super cutthroat, but to a degree you're going to need your own energy, so you have to be willing to be cutthroat if that's what it's going to take.
mm, mm. I like what you said that so basically the people who are not for you are not always the people who are against you. So people who are for you are the opposite of people who are for you is not against. It's simply just people who might not be in alignment with the vision, in alignment with your spirit, your vibrancy,
100%.
and your journey and your process, all of
100%.
that. Mm. Wow. How do you really
Yes.
know that?
And that can too be people that are really close.
Mm-hmm.
That can be family
Mm,
as well.
mm,
And you got to learn how to maintain your energy and find practices that really serve you.
mm,
And that's one of the reasons why I've created the vibrant living lifestyle model, is because when we're going about creating our business or our vision, your whole life and how you treat your body and the relationship that you have with yourself is there with you moment to moment to moment. And how you make choices given what you're experiencing or the challenges that you're going through is going to dictate the future outcome of
mm,
how you feel in your body and
mm,
how you feel in your life,
mm-hmm,
and how joyous you are in the process of creating and live that journey.
mm,
It's not about the destination. As
mm,
Wayne Dyer would say, happiness is the way. And it's really about creating that state of flow and that state of alignment presently, moment to moment,
mm,
connected to your intuition, connected with your alignment,
mm,
in order to feel vibrant, to feel energized, and to be able to have this beautiful exchange of giving and receiving in all aspects of you and the people around you that you serve.
mm. Okay. And you have something called the business of you. What's that? The business of you.
Yeah. So the business of you is, yeah, the business of you. So it's all about you when you come to the business of you. But the business of you is the platform in which I share transformational coaching. So the vibrant living life model that I've created, everything is under the business of you. And it's really about the all encompassing approach to create alignment so that you can begin to claim your sovereignty in your life, your body, and your business to create the level of fulfillment that you want to feel and experience in your life. Because we're
Mm,
not a human doing, we're a human being, and people forget that, especially high achievers. We forget that, and we get so on the to-do list, and we start checking off all the tasks, and we become very almost mechanical or rigid in our ways,
mm,
and that doesn't allow for us to naturally flow with, really the juice of life and really taste that. And so I help people to really create that alignment at the business of you, and
mm,
that's what that platform
yeah.
is really for.
The model is called
Yeah.
the vibrancy lifestyle model. Am I getting that right? Okay. So what does that model
Yeah,
look?
it's the yeah, so at the bottom foundation,
Mm,
we have health and breath. So really being able to connect with our energy, connect with our bodies, and begin to create a a relationship with ourselves that is conscious. And
mm,
then we go into vitality. So I have a blueprint for um, multiple fitness practices in mind, body, energy, and spirit, and social and relational fitness practices that serve people in creating vitality, resiliency, alignment, that supports them in going into the next evolution of creating vibrancy. And once you
mm,
step into vibrancy, you're really beginning to access that door to flow, where you're really connecting with your intuition, you're honoring and respecting your personal values, your personal needs, your personal desires. You're sharing your boundaries very openly with love, but keeping it nice and clean so that no one's coming into your life and trying to like throw you off track, or expecting so much of you to backbend for them,
mm,
because that's a real part of life. And so having great boundaries is a part of the vital fitness practices within all aspects of you. And then from vibrancy, once we begin to access that flow, then we really start to cultivate our inner CEO. Then we're really CEO, confidently expressing omnipotence, our unlimited power. And
mm,
we're really beginning to self actualize. We're
mm,
really beginning to fully integrate and express
mm,
who we naturally are, and showing up in the world to do our greatest work at our highest potential. And so that is the vibrant living model,
mm,
from base to finish.
mm. And the kind of people that the business of you attracts into the to use the vibrancy model, who are those typically? How are they feeling like? Who are these people?
Yeah, so I work with a lot of amazing female and male entrepreneurs, CEOs, those who have ambitious big dreams and goals, and who are looking to really enjoy the ride, and are really wanting to fully harness their limitless capacity
Mm,
and begin to show up in themselves and the world in the way that feels meaningful, purposeful, and vibrant for them. Because
mm,
everyone's version of success is going to look and feel different. That's
mm,
just the way it is. And so people have to really stop looking at the noise and the projection of what society believes is the expectation of what success looks like. And people need to redefine that for themselves so
mm,
that they can enjoy the ride and smell the roses. And for those entrepreneurs and amazing CEOs and execs, and managers that are really struggling to get that clarity
mm,
and to dissolve anxiety, fear, worry, stress, or get unblocked and unclogged of all the programs, all the beliefs, all the junk that doesn't serve the authentic you. Those are the amazing women and men that I really support, and that I support in creating that alignment so that they can flourish.
mm. Wow. And one could tell that your heart is very connected to that because the moment you started talking about the person, you got emotional there, and one could tell that you're very passionate about the work that you do. How do you maintain your
I
passion? How do you maintain your
Oh,
drive
well, because
passion?
it's
Yeah.
connected to inspiration.
mm, yeah.
That's
Curious.
that's that's the game changer. That's the key.
Mm,
When people start a business or when they have a vision in mind, if they are not connected to their powerhouse,
mhm,
their inner spirit of inspiration.
mm,
Inspiration means in spirit. When
yes.
you're not connected to that,
Mm,
you're expecting yourself to literally pull yourself out of bed every day
mm,
to get a job done. When
mm,
you are living from a place of inspiration,
mm,
you're fully in alignment
mm,
with your purpose, your why, and why you want to show up every day.
mm,
Not to fulfill, the numbers in your bank account, not to have that nice car. That all comes.
mm,
It's about you and what you stand for
mm,
and how you really want to show up and serve greatly.
mm,
Your gifts, your natural talents, your abilities, and your skill sets with the world.
mm.
And usually, your business is those all packaged up and delivered to
Believe.
those you really want to serve.
Mm, mm,
So I'm super passionate about conscious leadership.
mhm,
And that is why I love working with CEOs, entrepreneurs, disruptors. They are the ones who will dictate the outcome of you know, um, the next 100 years.
mm,
And when we are rising within our own conscious leadership as
mm,
men and women,
mm,
raising the standards to lead with conscious thought of sustainability, of the greatest good for all, with also the understanding that we are creators and that we're not alone and that we can invite flow into our life to co-create
mm,
our vision. We begin to change the vibrational frequency and the wavelength that we operate out of as leaders
mm,
to a conscious leadership.
mhm.
And I believe that that will be the movement of
Yes.
men and women that will create great, powerful, positive change
Mm,
in the lives of the planet, the lives of humanity.
yes.
And we need conscious leaders now more than ever.
One and every.
So
Mm.
I'm asking all of you listening, it's time
Yeah.
to rise.
That's
It's
right.
time to rise.
You have to rise
Seriously.
consciously, be inspired in your spirit, and stop looking for outside motivation and find the truth. Let me see if I get the message, right? So stop looking for outside motivation to always foil you, and look inside of you and find that passion, find those ideas, find those things that are sufficient to fuel you for the rest of your life, and tap into that, tap into your own inspiration, tap into um your own flow, your own unique gifts, and leverage upon that, live that truth, you know.
Yes.
Am I getting that right?
Yeah. So really, I mean, we're talking about a human being here,
Mhm.
and I really take the all-encompassing approach. But when we're talking about alignment,
Mm,
it's about you getting to that point where you're no longer going to listen to old paradigms of thoughts and
mm,
beliefs that
mm,
do not serve your authentic self. When
mm,
you're in alignment with your authentic self, you're naturally going to begin to access your genius zone.
mhm,
When you access your genius zone, the authentic you, because there's only one of you,
mhm,
is going to ooze out or blast out. And from there, all of your gifts, your talents, your abilities, and how you want to serve and share your message or your products or your services in the world is going to show up the
mm,
way that is immaculate for you to deliver it.
mm,
And from there, it's about being in alignment with your authentic self that's going to empower you to lead from the place of inspiration and
mm.
conscious leadership to share and serve in the world.
Yes. What is success to you? You mentioned success earlier, and part of being a conscious entrepreneur or leader is having your own definition of success. So, what is
Yeah.
yours?
Success to me as a human being is really about cultivating that personal relationship with yourself
Mm,
that allows you to begin to fully express yourself confidently
mm.
in who you really, really are.
Wow.
And when you begin to do that, life begins to love you right back.
Mm,
Because when you step into that level of conviction, of truth that is deeply innate to you, and when you get into alignment with what lights you up
mm,
in terms of what you share and how you show up in the world, that just comes easy.
mm,
Life gets easier.
mm.
No longer a wrestle, it's no longer hard. And that to me is success. It's being and doing all of the things that truly give you the greatest quality of fulfillment, excitement, and joy.
Yes. Yes. Well, it's great to have you here. For those who want to connect with you, what's the best way to connect with you and start to become conscious and vibrant in leading? What is the best way to really connect with you?
Yeah, you can connect with me at thebusinessofyou.com. And you can also check me out on social media and send me a direct message if you wish at the business of you.
Yes, that's a
Yeah.
beautiful name, by the way.
And
Business of
my,
you.
yeah, you can't really forget it. It's the business of you.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know?
I love what you said. Like in the business of you, I mean, all we care about is you, you know? The focus is you in the
Yeah,
business.
exactly.
Mm. All right. So it's great to have you here
100%.
and hope
Thank you.
to see more amazing things in the future as well.
Yes, thank you so much for having me.
Yes.